We understand it was standard procedure that we'd have to wait for some time for the U.S. President to arrive on Air Force One, and we did. We thought it was important to capture that very moment that he came, the photographers especially. But there was rain, there was wind. The wind was so strong that it actually broke the umbrella I borrowed from the hotel, so that was frightening. But all in all, it was good. What was bad for our photographers was that it was rather unfortunate, really. When President Obama walked off from the plane, we couldn't really see a thing. We didn't know, we couldn't spot any of the people who were there to greet him. So everybody was asking around, every reporter who was on the media platform, who this guy was, who that guy was, are you sure? But then there was no definite answer, and we had to confirm eventually with the Foreign Affairs Office in Shanghai. The other thing was when Obama left, as he was leaving in his limo, the phone signal was cut for about 3 minutes. That too, of course, was a standard procedure, but a lot of the reporters didn't know. They were mostly Chinese reporters covering his arrival on Sunday night, and they were all freaked out, panicking, because they were expected to do online interviews, or instant interviews rather, with their headquarters either in Beijing or in Shanghai, but that wasn't possible for those 3 minutes. In the early morning, at about 8, 9 o'clock, we had to. It was the place was the Shanghai Science and Technology Museum, and we had to be there early. Obviously, there were 500 odd students, about 100 odd reporters, 70-ish from the States, the rest from mainland China, and of course there were some from Taiwan, Hong Kong as well. We had to be there early, arrive on site, set up the cameras, knew our place. So before he arrived, we had a couple passes, different passes. I had mine. It was where the front cameras were. It was facing directly at him, about 15, 20 meters away, or actually even less. One of our photographers had a pass where he could get a close-up shot of President Obama. It was around the podium where he was giving up the speech. I could have switched places, actually. I was encouraged by the headquarters in Beijing. I didn't do so because I'm not a professional photographer, and it would have appeared rather silly that way to not have a decent camera and holding up a voice recorder as he spoke. I just felt it was more appropriate work for a reporter, or for a photographer rather. One of the other reasons I wanted to move up to around the podium was then I'd have a closer look at the students. I could actually talk to them instead of looking at them in the distance. I could, if I were lucky, talk to the president. After the session was over, I knew he would come down and shake hands with students. So there was a slim chance of shouting a question or two at his face, presumably. And there was definitely a chance to talk with the students he talked with and the students he had shaken hands with. I was actually making a phone call with our reporter back in the head office, Mr. Zhang Haizhou. He was online all the time. We were chatting on MSN on my cell phone. And then I asked him to not hang up because President Obama was about to walk in any minute. So he didn't. We stayed online for about a good 2 hours. I had my headphone on. I was listening to Obama on the one hand, listening to what the president had to say, the interesting, the relevant, the useful, and then I would repeat what he had just said with Mr. Zhang back in the office, and he would record them down and upload them to news updates at the website. And that was fun, but it was exhausting, as I'm sure you can imagine.